Hey, somebody's got to butter the biscuits. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer. Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth, creating measurable results for people like you and families like yours. No longer a member of the amateur ranks. No, I am the Professional Noticer.
You think we need one more? All right, we'll get one more.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. And while our topics might seem to vary wildly to you, it's because the things you care about most are often greatly affected by the things you care about least. So, we field all kinds of questions about business and spiritual issues or popular culture, and even answer the occasional odd conundrum like, what do you do in a standoff with a mob of emus? My purpose today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend, have fun, or be a coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by GrowingDeer.com. If you already watch Growing Deer episodes or you regularly visit the GrowingDeer.com website, you already know why I, the Professional Noticer, is a fan, or a fan. I'm a fan. I don't know even, if my wife were here, she's the grammar Nazi, she would tell me how to say this, but I am a fan of GrowingDeer.com. The whole operation is a great example for all of us about how family can work together and play together and support each other. This whole Dr. Grant Woods family does this show. More about that later, but whether you own land or not, whether you're an outdoor person or not, you will enjoy GrowingDeer.com. And certainly you know an outdoor person, so tell them about it. GrowingDeer.com. Hey, how about this? The Professional Noticer now has listeners in 79 countries. That's just amazing to me. Kenya added this past week. They joined us. Hey, Kenya. I'm so glad you're here. Observations and answers is what we do, and we appreciate you being a part of it all. I deliver the observations. You provide the questions. And remember, the quality of your answers can only be determined by the quality of your questions. Hey, this week, our first question is actually two questions. But as I looked at these questions, I realized the same answer will work for both. And the questions are both from people in different places in Alabama. From Keith and then Leah. Let's listen.
Hey, Andy, this is Keith from Birmingham, Alabama. My question, it may be stupid, but I'm serious. How do you find your purpose? When you really know most of your strengths, and people that know you always seem to single out my strong work ethic and integrity, yet I really seem to have no purpose.
Hi, Andy. This is Leah from Alabama. Was there one event in your life that sent you down the path you chose? Thanks, Andy.
Okay, Keith and Leah, thank you so much for the questions. And I do believe that your questions my answer will intersect with your questions. Keith, you sound a little frustrated. I know that that is a tough thing when you're struggling to find that. But Leah's question, was there one event in my life that sent me down the path you chose? I have been asked that a bunch of times, and I have been asked that for years. I've had it asked because people would say to me, when did you get your big break? When was that time that you got that there was that one thing that you knew or when was it? And honestly, there hasn't been one. I've never had a bolt of lightning. I've never had, I grew up hearing about and watching these guys on the Tonight Show, and these comedians would be on the Tonight Show, and I remember hearing about guys doing one spot. They got one spot on the Tonight Show. They did one spot, and Johnny Carson gave them a thumbs up, and the next day their life was changed because they had bookings in Las Vegas and Los Angeles and all over the world, and their life was changed by this one moment. Or, you would hear stories about, people meeting someone that said, hey, and that was the critical. There's never been one of those for me. And honestly, I don't think there is one of those for most people. I have felt that it's all been a process of leaning against it, putting my shoulder to the grindstone, or my nose to the grindstone, or my shoulder to the wheel, or however it is that you say that. You know what I mean? I feel like it has been a process that I kind of keep working. I realized at one point that there was not a single thing that I had ever been accepted for that I wasn't turned down for first. Isn't that odd? I mean, literally, I don't know how old I was, but it wasn't too long ago. And I guess that still holds, because now I am more in control of my own destiny, I suppose. But for years, I worked on cruise ships. Yeah, but I got turned down, by them for a long time because they said I would not do well there. I had turned down for college, doing college dates because they said I wasn't somebody who would, connect there. And I ended up being like comedian of the year, voted by these people. I had, tried to get on television shows, and even the ones I got on, they had turned me down forever. Convention bookers. The story of The Traveler's Gift. I wrote this book, The Traveler's Gift. It was turned down by 51 different publishers. Now, Keith, you asked about how you can find your purpose. I think you find your purpose along the way. I think finding your purpose is a process, not a moment. For most people, it can be a moment. I've read stories about people who heard God's voice, and, God said, you are going to be a hockey player or whatever. I don't know what it is, but I've read stories of people who heard God's voice. I've read people who grew up knowing what they wanted to do. I didn't. It's been a process. In fact, not only did I not know, there have been, I think, 4 major shifts in my life as an adult. There was a time I thought I was going to do comedy. I thought I was going to be a comedian forever. And I did really well there. But then I had a business opportunity, and, so that took a back seat, and then did really well with the business opportunity. And I thought, wow, isn't it amazing that all that time with the comedy that really is now being used to help me in this business situation. Well, then shift happened again. I became this author and this speaker, and Traveler's Gift hit, and I was really, I've said before, my learning was lagging behind my writing at that time. I was having success, but I was trying to learn. I really knew I needed to know more. I needed to understand more. I needed a lot more wisdom than I had. But I also, after that shift, I realized, man, this business stuff and the comedy stuff are helping me now. And so, now I'm going into another shift. Maybe part of it is age related. Maybe part of it is is I guess a more defining of my focus, because after years and years, this shift is a narrower shift, and starting with things that I've never done before, but I feel like everything is led to. And so Keith, do the work that excites you, that is in front of you. And I think that you're going to figure out your purpose in the process. Your purpose is going to be revealed to you through your strengths, through your passions, through your value to other people. And you may not be able to define it for a while, but you'll know you're on the pathway toward it. And Leah, I don't think there's one event in most of our lives. So if you're looking for that one event, my advice is the same as it was to Keith. Get on that path. Come on, get on that pathway, toward what you're passionate about, what you can create that's valuable for other people. And your purpose will be revealed without a doubt. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer. We're harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And our sponsor today is growingdeer.com. My boys, Austin and Adam, are 19 and 16. They're fascinated by every episode of this show, but they love all things outdoors. So you would expect them to be fascinated, I suppose. But, now there's my wife, Polly, and Polly loves the show too, but, she loves all things indoors. So how could it be that both like this show? Probably because growingdeer.com is about so much more than deer. Dr. Grant Woods is a wildlife biologist, and he hosts every week's program. And the subjects range from like scientific to practical, but it's all very interesting and useful. And so Dr. Grant's wife, Tracy, and their daughters, Raleigh and Ray, make appearances on the show. And the whole operation, great example about how families can work together. That's growingdeer.com. Our next question is from Rhonda. Rhonda's from Mississippi. All right, let's listen.
Hey, Andy, this is Rhonda from Mississippi. My question is, where is the balance between pushing your kids to do better and overwhelming them? I feel like giving up most days because I can't see that anything I'm doing is influencing him the right way. I really just want him to grow up to be happy and successful. Thank you, Andy.
Rhonda. Wow. Okay. My wife is from Mississippi. I could have told you're from Mississippi. You're saying it like it is, aren't you? Whew. I hope his dad doesn't hear you say you don't want to grow up to be like his dad. But you're saying it like it is. It's that Mississippi thing, I think. I think there is a balance between pushing your kids to be better and overwhelming them. And I think you probably see it, because I think if you hadn't seen it, you wouldn't have been able to come up with that question. Does that make sense? I think you have probably watched yourself pushing your kids to be better and watching that work, and then you've seen how that has gone too far and overwhelmed them. And so, if you had not seen both of those things, you wouldn't have asked the question. And so the balance is something you're going to have to determine. Okay, you're going to have to determine, where is it still the carrot on the stick, and they're having a great time, but they understand what mom is doing and how she's helping and how, she's telling stories to get them, motivated and get them understanding why they're doing what they're doing, and then there is that point where, we can become, a crazy person. I've seen so many parents in the situations of ballparks and fields and teamwork and that kind of stuff. I've seen so many parents that it was just very obvious that the parent wanted this much more than the child did. And, there are parents who, they'll see their 5-year-old kid and they go, this kid is going to play in the NFL and I'm going to make sure he has that opportunity. So, they got the 5-year-old lifting weights and this kind of stuff. And you do want your kids to be kids and you want them to have fun and you want them to be better too. And so you're going to structure some stuff, but you're not going to overwhelm them with structure. Part of learning to grow up is going to be, how they react when they have free time. What are they doing with each other? And they'll figure that out. And so sometimes too much structure can overwhelm them. Now, Rhonda, I'm concerned about one thing. Okay, you said, and I wrote this down when you said it because I frowned. You said, I feel like giving up most days. Really? Come on now. I don't even know that you need to say that to yourself. Come on now. These are your kids, all right? And I don't think you mean that. Okay, I just don't think you mean that. I think, sometimes I say things that I realize I go, I don't even mean that. I'm saying that to myself over and over, and it can even be something that I don't even articulate, but it's something that I'm walking along, and I'm saying to myself, gosh, I don't want to do this, or this feels bad, or boy, I'm not good at this, or man, this is not working. And I realize, this is something I'm going to do anyway. But boy, I'm saying things to myself that are not good. And then sometimes I have articulated this, to my wife or to a friend, and they've listened to me, but I realize later, what am I saying? What am I doing? I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going through this anyway. And what am I doing saying this stuff to a friend of mine? I'm trying to convince him to say, yes, I agree with you. This is going to be horrible. Yes, I agree with you. That you feel like giving up most days. And since you feel like giving up most days, yes, you should probably go ahead and give up. What am I trying to get him to say? And I realize, I shouldn't be saying this stuff at all. And so I want to, I want to just say, hey, go get by yourself, Rhonda, and understand these are your kids. You're not giving up. You're not giving up. Right? You will not give up. These are your kids. And so don't give voice to something that you might feel for a moment, and then you write it down and say it, and then you say it again, and then you hear yourself on the podcast saying it, and then you start agreeing with yourself. That's where the danger comes. You say it a few times, then you start agreeing with yourself, and when you start agreeing with yourself that I feel like giving up most days, you start agreeing with yourself. Yeah, I really do feel that way. I do feel like that most days. What? Here's another day, and I feel like that. I feel like just giving up. And you start saying that to yourself, and you're putting yourself in a real danger zone. Because soon you can say that to yourself enough that you really do put yourself in a valley, and you become like a depressed, negative, sad mom, where before they had a happy mom who was interested, that sometimes went overboard, but she went overboard because she loved us, and she learned when to back off and when to hit that balance. You say, Rhonda, that you can't see anything that you're doing is influencing your son. You say him. Okay, so you can't see anything that you're doing that is influencing him in the right way. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. That's just not true. That's just not true. I mean, you need to take another look. I mean, how are his manners? Who taught him that? Now, that's something you did that influenced him. Does he eat at the table with a fork? I don't know how old he is, but does he eat with a fork or does he just cram it in his mouth with his hands? There's something that you influence there. How does he talk to other people? What are his habits? I mean, stop just a second, turn around and look at a new world. I am imagining that you are looking at a world right now that because you're kind of saying, I feel like giving up most days. I can't see anything that I'm doing that's influencing him in the right way. All right, so you're seeing that. Now, just close your eyes, turn completely around, and open them up again, because there's a parallel universe. Because now start looking at the things that you have done that have worked, the things that you've done that have influenced him, that have made him better. Look at that parallel universe. You need to, because it's there. I remember one time taking Austin and Adam to school, and I said something, about school, and one of them went, "Oh, I can't believe it's going to be awful." And I said, "Really? It's going to be awful. We're going to do that." And I said, "Hey guys, I want to show you something. You're going to school expecting it to be awful, and you know what is going to happen? It's going to be awful." And I said, "Let me tell you why. I want you to do something for me. I want you to do something. We're going to play a game here really quick." I remember both of them are still in their booster seats, right? And I said, "All right, I want you to close your eyes." You got them closed? Okay, I'm driving along. I said, "When I tell you to open your eyes, I want you to tell me everything you see that is yellow. I want you to tell me, and you're going to have to do it quick. You're only going to have a few seconds to do it. I want you to tell me quickly everything that is yellow. Ready? Go." And so they open their eyes and go, "Okay, that Volkswagen is yellow. That sign over there is yellow. The drapery over there that is yellow. That there's a yellow sign in the yard. And they told me all this yellow stuff for about 10 or 15 seconds as we're driving along. I said, "All right, close your eyes again." You got them closed? Okay, keep them closed. And I want you to tell me everything you saw just a few minutes ago that was red. Tell me. Yeah, keep them closed. Tell me, what did you see that was red? And both of them were like, So you can't tell me anything? I said, "Okay, open your eyes." And they opened them, and I said, when we passed Sam's Stop and Shop, the little sombrero thing is red. The stop sign was red. We've got right over here, that shack behind that store is red. And I told them so many red things had passed, but they didn't see them. And they didn't see them because they weren't looking for them. It was kind of a parallel universe. The red things were there all the time, but they never looked for them. This is going to be a process, Rhonda, and so I want to tell you that, I don't know his dad, but you said you don't want him to grow up to be like his dad. Okay, well, whatever that was, you certainly don't need to, downgrade his dad in front of him. But whatever those things were that you think he does not need, or that he does not need to become, you can raise your child in an atmosphere of understanding an atmosphere of understanding where you explain why he would want to do certain things. I'm going to read chapter 13 in The Little Things about change. Your son is going to change a million times as he grows up. And you need to know the two things that always work in these situations. You know, what's in it for me and proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's explained in the book. You don't want me to take 30 minutes to talk about that now, but these are things that you can use appropriately with your child to explain and have those changes occur and watch your son grow up to be everything that you wanted, everything that you expected, everything you wanted to prepare him for. Remember, you're not trying to raise a great kid. You're raising a kid who will become a great adult. That's what you're after. Okay? All right. Keep after it. Thank you. Thank you, Rhonda. And, hey, I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk. Shake hands with the kids you meet. Make sure you have an answer to the question Jim asked. What kind of bear is best? It's a black bear. And so, until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Cat calendars provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration brought to you by the Do-It-Yourselfers Anonymous.com. Do you say, I can fix that myself, more than once a day? Does your bathroom sink spring a leak at least 3 times a year, yet you've never called a plumber? You, my friend, are a candidate for Do-It-Yourselfers Anonymous.com. To join, you don't have to go to meetings, but you do need to admit you have a problem. Did the back door latch carve a nasty groove in the wooden frame after you fixed it the last time? At bedtime, do you think about rolling over to give your spouse one last kiss before you drift off to sleep? Or do your thoughts revolve around a 9/16 inch socket wrench and how, with 5 more minutes, you'd have gotten that lawnmower running? You need help. And this is the one thing you can't repair by yourself. Do-It-Yourselfers Anonymous.com. The only thing we fix is you.